So here we are, Twitchside Chat, episode 24, Cyberpunk 2077. I know it's a long time coming, I'm falling behind on my previous schedule, but life reared its ugly head. Anyway, we're back to fighting the insane. Enjoy, guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, Twitchside Chat 24. We are going to cover the upcoming changes to Cyberpunk 2077. I figured it'd be a good idea to cover what the game has been doing for the last, 2 years, and see what CD Projekt Red has in store for us in the future, because apparently they're going to be doing a massive patch, I believe 1.7 when Phantom Liberty drops, I believe in September. So, yeah. So, I've convened the Council of Nerds. We have who do I have in here anyway? It's almost a full house. I'm literally beside myself. We've got Altered Edge's own Average Bear and the Geek Ranger, who also is the mastermind behind the battle hymn for that intro music. Thanks to him for hooking that up. That was dope as shit. We also have my cohort in crime, Pac-Man, and the man behind the thumbs, Brick. He's the one that does the thumbs on YouTube, which I am massively behind on the whole YouTube game, but that's another story. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we got Cratch Kish, a fellow variety streamer here on Twitch. How you guys doing? Oh, wait, I forgot. Unmute. There we go. Now, how y'all doing? Let's try that again.
You had us muted that whole time. We were speaking pure gold.
Yeah,
man.
Like, I am so disappointed.
Hey, quacking, Ranger, quacking.
Quack. So, because, all right, so I don't know how this is gonna look. Oh god, that meow thing fucking screws me up. I don't know how this is gonna work on stream, but nobody's using their webcams except for me, of course.
I got mine though, just not on Discord.
Yeah, but I kind of wish there was a high vis version of it. But anyway, let's get right into the Twitch side chat here. So, yeah, I mean, it looks all right, I guess. Maybe.
Eat.
Uh-oh.
What?
Average Bear, he's trying to link up.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Let's see what happens.
Oh. Average, you're not going to be able to put your webcam on Discord because it's currently being utilized by Streamlabs.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right.
I know, right? Anyway. So anyway, I figure we'll just kind of gloss over what I put up in my thread here in Discord wherever I put it. Oh my god, I don't know where I'm going. That's Twitch schedule. Where is it? Where'd I put it?
Don't know. Over there?
Over yonder. Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know why I put it on. All right, here we go. So had to find it. So by request and poll, it was either Cyberpunk 2077 or Diablo 4 as the topic. And as everybody said, you know, they want to hear more about Cyberpunk and see what they're doing. CD Projekt Red has gotten under extreme amount of legal distress for reasons, of course, launching a buggy game, and you know their greed got a hold of them, etc., etc. Oh, look at that, Zach Fade! Thanks for thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate it, bro. But anyway, They've been quietly kind of no man's skying it a little bit. In the game that it is now, it's nowhere near the buggy hot mess that it was 2 years ago when it released. And I'd figure I'd do a full disclosure. I have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 no less than 3 times. I pre-ordered 2 of them for the Xbox One, knowing that it was going to be a little buggy, not as buggy as it was, but there it was. Bought one for a gift for my friend and then one for me. And I also, when I upgraded my GPU on the computer, I bought it through Steam. to mod the shit out of it, and my experience was pretty fun with it, but it's still kind of squiffy. Recently played it. It's a lot better than it was, but what has me really, really super excited is that when 1.7 patch launches along with Phantom Liberty, it seems to me that it's going to be a completely different game. No system in that game is going to be untouched. My biggest beef was the GTA style cop spawning. When you get into a gun running thing there through Night City, and then the cops just appear behind you, like, all the time. Hated that. But apparently they're gonna have running gun battles, all this other stuff. We'll get into that. But before, just so you know where I'm coming from. Like I said, I pre-ordered it for myself and a friend on the Xbone. Played all the way through the content on day one, then further purchased it on Steam and modded the hell out of it and played it. And as consumers, it's very fair to flame something that didn't deliver on even half of its promises and in the lead up to the release. The gameplay trailer wasn't even gameplay. And of course, you know, I'm defending my position here. But the point I'm trying to make is that the game isn't shit now, and throughout all odds, CD Projekt Red is putting forth the effort to fix their greed-fueled miscarriage, despite facing major business killing lawsuits. Also, the point of the Twitchside tonight is to highlight for those of us that have jobs and family might be better served waiting till Phantom Liberty comes out, as it'll be a much improved product from what it is now, not to mention a completely different game than when it was first launched. And I do have a certain point, so you know where I'm coming from. A lot of games are shitty at launch. This, sadly, is the industry norm, and we as consumers need to stand up and force a change by voting with our money. Gone are the days where I pre-ordered a title. I've actually had to stop myself from pre-ordering Starfield. I want that watch, but that's neither here nor there. Two of the pillars I want to be known for here on Twitch and YouTube is I dive into new IPs, which Cyberpunk most definitely is, and two, I like to play games done right, which invariably will include no small amount of indie developers. One must admit that a lot of very popular smaller games can't afford to miss any opportunities or just phone it in, as many of the bigger developers seem to be doing. Much like BioWare. Mass Effect's a great example. EA, Anthem, Madden, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and yes, even Bethesda, such as Redfall and Skyrim. You know, I mean, you can't trust a AAA developer to say, oh, well, it'll magically get done. And to speak to a little bit off script and what I typed up on here, it's not fair to the developers either. I mean, the developers told the management in, you know, CD Projekt Red that the game wasn't ready. So that was my 2 bits on there. But you guys have anything to say in response to that verbal diarrhea I just spewed out into the Twitch space?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and speak up first because I'm running out of steam fast and I want to be able to contribute here.
Yeah.
Regarding Cyberpunk, I can't remember whether or not I pre-ordered it, but I definitely remember that I got it like pretty close to release day, and I had a lot of fun with it being an absolute buggy mess. Because I played it on the PS4 Pro, so I had it somewhat stable. But it was definitely, especially like later on in the game, it felt definitely like there was something missing. And as the game has progressed and gotten better, I have been able to enjoy my experience a lot more, and I'm actually very excited for Phantom Liberty. What I am concerned about for the future of CDPR as well as other games is that's the thing that you touched on, where modern games come at a high risk, where you don't know what you're going to get right out of the box. Because Cyberpunk, the version 1.0 on that disc, hot garbage. Total hot garbage. And when patch 1.7 comes out, straight up, if they don't re-release the game with 1.7 on the disc, then that's a missed opportunity to completely rebrand Cyberpunk as this like greater thing. Because we've seen titles like No Man's Sky do this complete big turnaround from being something that was half-baked at best to now one of the more accomplished titles.
Right.
And I want to see that for Cyberpunk. I'm excited for Phantom Liberty, but I am also scared for like the future of it because it looks good, but I don't know if I can trust it.
Right. Well, you brought up 2 points that I want to highlight. Number one, No Man's Sky was not a AAA developer. They were an indie developer that got the AAA treatment by Sony PlayStation. And Jason Schreier kind of blew the whistle on the fact that what was his name? Matt? No. I forgot the guy that was doing those press junkets. He was not a people person. He was an engineer, and he had difficulty saying no, and he just said yes to every question that was posed to him. But be that as it may, CD Projekt Red, who made the Witcher series, and let me be frank, the Witcher series is, Witcher 3 is probably one of my favorite games. They were like the golden boys. They were the golden boys of the AAA space. They were a small indie developer that made it big, and they reassured us, oh, it'll be released when it's ready. Well, they lied. But the point that the other point that I actually want to highlight that I didn't even occur to me was the 1.7 needs to be burned on the disc. They need to re-release it, and I think that'd be a very good thing for them to do. I don't know how the logistics of it. I don't know if they've got the wherewithal to actually do that. I don't, because let's be honest. The developers, not developers, but the publishers are in there to make money. The CD Projekt Red had sunk a lot of time fixing their screw up, and I think it says a lot for them anyway. Playing devil's advocate here, that they have struggled. They could very easily just abandoned the damn thing and went on about their business. I mean, developers have done that all the time. EA is one of them. BioWare's another. Square Enix even did that. But they chose to press on and do what was worthwhile, finally. So, yeah, it's a good point, Ranger. Anybody else?
I do have a question. So, you and I were talking a lot about this at work today towards the end, about games being live service versus regular hard disk, whatever. Is Cyberpunk live service by kind of the definition you and I were talking about, or no?
No.
Like what? Okay, so we didn't really settle on that. But I think, kind of to your point of other companies releasing games that are incomplete, a lot of them are like these live service games that kind of suck until like they get updated like a week into the game or whatever. And since Cyberpunk it didn't have that, really that ability. Like, yeah, they create a patch for it or an update for it, but you're not going to get that same almost instant kind of fix, which even games now, like, it's still pretty bad for some games.
Well, shit, you could get a single player game. I remember when I pre-ordered Skyrim. And I was really stoked to play it, whatever, and I slid it into the tray, and I went in there, did the whole release party, the whole nerd thing, feeling like a little kid. And I'm like, controller in hand, ready to play, and then, oh, this thing needs an update. And I look to see the update, and it's like freaking 40 gigs. I'm like, what? Screw this, I'm going to sleep. And I come from the cartridge days of Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But, no, unfortunately, it's an industry standard, but there has to be a give and take. A lot, the argument can be made. There's a lot more that goes into these games nowadays than they did 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But by the same token, they need to play their own goddamn product. Mm-hmm. Just to get off topic a little bit, I'm really stoked that everybody in the Microsoft offices are playing the hell out of Starfield before it gets released. So that gives me just a little smidgen of hope that it's going to be an actual viable product at launch. Because let's be honest, Bethesda cannot afford a shitty launch like they're known for. So, but Pac, you're being suspiciously quiet.
Well, I've never played the game in the first place, so I don't know much about it.
Well, I mean, you have a fresh perspective. I mean, you probably heard all of us, kind of leaning on you a little bit, like, coloring your perspective or whatever. But, well, I'm going to check in with you on stream toward the tail end of the segment after we go over everything. So
as far as like the whole like Cyberpunk and the launch and stuff of it, right? I think that the biggest thing for me with how Cyberpunk came out, because I remember, growing up, making fun of all the nerds in like middle school and high school that would play this tabletop game called Cyberpunk, right? They were like the outcasts from the Dungeons and Dragons community of kids, right?
Oh wow.
That played Cyberpunk, right? And
that's fair.
and that's what it was, right? And like they would show up to fucking school dressed up in this like, the Cyberpunk type role. And so I think that was the biggest issue that they had wasn't really with their development aspect of it, because when they were making the game, they were making it for a very specific audience, right? Everybody, no matter if you were, if you were a nerd your whole life, or you've never even touched the nerd life, right? Everybody has heard of and knows what like Dungeons and Dragons was, and nobody outside of the fucking end of the 90s knew what Cyberpunk was, right? And so they were tailoring it as like this very small game to fill the void in between their flagship, their only other series, which was The Witcher, right? And so I think they went in thinking that it was going to be this small release that was, built off of a GTA style platform that was designed around this cyberpunk world, and they weren't really expecting it to get as much traction as it did. And so when it came down to
early days when they first announced.
Hang on. I'll let you finish.
No, I'm just trying to figure out the timeline here.
So the big thing was like with the launch, right? As they were, advertising and all this stuff, it really picked up traction, and they realized that they needed to they originally, the developers for CD Projekt Red that were working on the Cyberpunk office, was I think a tenth of the size of what it was for the Witcher program. And what they dropped in the release trailer, what the game was at launch, what it is now, wasn't even what the original structure and the design of the game was. It was supposed to play almost similar to like GTA 3, right? With that kind of like a graphical interface. So as it started to pick up traction, they went to go like completely rework the game, and they didn't have they couldn't meet that timeline. And it was that difference between the corporate office that was like, hey, we have a lot of people that are interested, we already told them the release date and all this shit, and it's gaining millions of following to it, whereas the developers were like, hey, we can't change this to make it what it needs to be in that amount of time. And it was like it was this like just political shit show, right? On CD Projekt Red's side. And I'm pretty sure that they're one of their like guys that was in charge of like the whole like release and like their public affairs type office got fired from it after how bad it came out. But that being said, it was something that I wasn't even interested in as it was getting released, and I didn't even pre-order it, anything like that. I didn't have that high hopes for it. When it came out, and as bad as it flopped on launch, was kind of funny to me. At the end of the day, though, like I did end up getting it, played through it, absolutely loved it, and I don't know. I think 1.5 was when they fixed almost all of the bugs from the beginning.
So anyway, 1.63, which is live right now, addresses several dozen issues still present in the game, including bugs that stop progression, text, and appearing the wrong way, and mirrors, misbehaving photo mode filters, and more. What I'm looking at, though, is that they're going to make some more changes that revamps a ton of features in the base game, alongside with what will presumably be patch 1.7. What I'm
I
really...
have a question.
Yeah, what?
How long ago did this game come out?
2020.
2020. Okay. And how buggy is like we're on patch 1.1.63, and how many patches like are in?
They put out I lost count around 7. There's well, not counting the hot fixes, which there were many. There is, I want to say, about 5 major patches, and they added more stuff in cosmetics, a transmog system. They added a lot of quality of life stuff in there too. The game that it is now is nowhere near as apocalyptic, if I could use that word,
right?
Than release. It's fairly stable right now.
I mean,
what I'm really stoked for is the whole vehicular combat and actually having combat in the streets that you don't actually instigate. From all that I'm seeing so far, actually I'm going to probably link Legacy Killa's video in the description down below here on YouTube. Vehicular combat, the new cyber psychosis feature that was inspired by Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's all going to be in there, not just in Phantom Liberty. They got a bunch of patch notes where they fix a bunch of the issues for quests. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do the infinite item and money cheat from using I seem to remember a piece of art that would get jettisoned from a space pod. You go in there and you can actually duplicate the crap out of it, and it's the highest price thing in the game. But be that as it may, it's a pretty extensive list of where they're going to fix a lot of the stuff that actually happens in the game. Basically, the game in the 1.7, no system goes untouched. They're revamping the cops, how they respond, giving in different areas. It's actually going to be a little bit more organic. If you're in a low, like a low influential, a very low influential or slummy place, the cops are not going to be as vigilant responding to a crime, as opposed to, say, if you were to cap somebody in front of Arasaka Tower, they'll be on you. They're not going to know where you are. They're going to come in and do a semblance of, all right, we're investigating, and you have to evade, whatever, be a little bit more stealthy, maybe, if that's your play style. But what I find interesting is that they have actual console and PC specific changes. They're changing the number of available save slots on Xbox to 20 for manual saves and 10 for point of no return saves. Players who have a number of saves that exceeds the new save limit will need to delete some saves to be able to create new saves. Address an issue affecting performance on the Xbox Series after playing for an extended period of time. I know there was a RAM limit both on PC and on Xbox, where if you had X amount of items in your save file, got to a certain point of, like a certain size of save file, it would actually corrupt the save, and your hours and hours of tooling around in Night City would be gone. Terrible. But yeah, they did a lot of changes in here. But what I'm really stoked for is all the underpinning game mechanics. For all the shade that I'm throwing at this game, I had a lot of fun when it was day one. I enjoyed the game. I love the music. There's a mission in there where you play as Johnny Silverhand on stage, rocking out, chipping in. That was my favorite part of the whole game, to be honest. But yeah,
You just like the scene afterwards.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe the tank scene. Yeah, man, that stokes the emo in me, but or not the emo, but the Marine in me. So there it is. Everything we are hoping for 2.0 Cyberpunk 2077. Up next, hopefully release over the weekend, will be my comparing and contrasting between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. Oh my Lanta. It's going to be a little bit out of date, but maybe I can interject something that's a little bit more contemporary. Let's go with that. Anyway, until then, guys, stay out of trouble. It's a full-time job and the pay sucks, but you know what? It's worth it. Take it easy, guys.